Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's meetup. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm seeing something green show up, which suggests that my microphone is working, but feel free to let me know if you can hear you. Okay, hi, Cheryl. Glad to see you're here. And let's see, we have got, who else is here? Hi, Logan. All right, so if anybody else cannot hear me at this point, it has to be a problem with your system and not mine. And hi, Elise. Welcome back. Welcome back to everybody who's here. And so I guess we can talk about a bunch of things on today's meetup. Before I start sort of blathering on, does anybody have any questions or any issues that you need to get addressed? I don't know if you noticed this, but I just posted. So yesterday I posted something on broadcasting and receiving, and today I posted something on another kind of block that lets you do things repeatedly. It's called a for block. And I'm sure you probably didn't have a chance to look at the for block stuff yet, but I just thought I would see if anyone's got any questions or issues with anything. So far, looks like nobody does, I guess. Let's see. Jill, oh, I should have kept that anonymous. Anonymous person, who may or may not be Jill, you said that you've got a question that was only a problem that I have. I have found when I teach that so many people think that. They think, oh, this is only my problem. And it turns out that if you've got a problem, statistically speaking, there's a good chance that somebody else has it too. So if you want to ask that again, Jill, you can. I'm going to take, and you can ponder that while, let's see. Cheryl said, do we need to sign up for anything for professional development credit? Logan, you want to weigh in at this point? Because the reason I say that is because I had asked Logan I think I had asked him to set something up. And Logan is probably typing frantically. Let's see. Carrie says it seems to be going well. Should I be able to see other students in here? That is a good question. Right now I've got 6 people, and so we got a sort of a smaller group today, but that's fine. I did this on really short notice. But I don't. Does anyone else see anybody else, or no? Okay, so okay, so you can only see me. Previously, did you see other people? Oh, the first meeting you could see other people. But Elise says the first meeting, no, just you. Well, I know the first meeting, I was experimenting with audio, and I turned on audio for everyone because I thought, well, how else are we going to talk? And that turned out to be a dramatic mistake. So I can, but I am not sure. Let me see here. If there's anything here. that lets me let other people see other people. I don't see anything obvious here. So let me go to, let's see, options. Attendees can oh, wait. Here's a significant one. Attendees can view attendee list. Here we go. All right, you should now be able to see everybody. All right, I'll have to remember that. Okay, so all right, so let me get back to, so I'm still waiting for Logan's answer. Hi, Logan. My understanding is that he is going to set up, there we go. Oh, okay, so I guess okay, so Cheryl, when you're talking about do we need to sign up for professional development, you mean on this forum to record the fact that you're present here, is that right? Is that what you're thinking of? Okay, I'm waiting for, right. Yeah, we do need, I may not have asked Logan this, but we do need a Google Doc. I thought I thought I had mentioned that in our I thought I had mentioned that on the Moodle site. Maybe I had missed that. Let me just take a peek here. I'm assuming that everyone can see my first screen here. Okay, project number 2 and a chance to win big. All right. Another reason for doing this project, participants who complete any track in this workshop and participate, okay, that's the chance to win the Nexus 7. Yeah, in order to do professional development, I do need to know who is going to be doing that. And so what I will have Logan do is indeed what they're doing in the other two groups, in the other two tracks. I'll have him create a document that simply indicates you're participating in professional development. You're interested in professional development credit. And yeah, so that will happen, and I'll get Logan to post that tomorrow, just so we can sort of keep track of people. I will keep track of everyone who's here. I think I have records of everyone who was here at the last meeting, so we should be good to go. Getting back to other questions here. Let me see here. Okay, so Elise doesn't have any problems at this point. Okay, so there's a question. Jill has a question about n-gons, repeating the triangle 20 times and not changing my variable to increase by 1. So let me look at, that was project number 2, which pegs the awesomeness meter. Boy, talk about humbleness. Okay, so that's a little bit larger than it needs to be. All right, so to draw an n-sided figure, you're going to put down the pen and you're going to draw a side. Wait, are we talking about the same? Oh, I see. Okay, there's more to it than that. That's how to draw an n-gon. Okay, draw a 3-sided figure, draw a 4-sided figure, and so forth. All right, so there are two issues here. First of all, there's a question as to whether or not your this block, the draw sided figure of size such and such, The question is whether or not this is working. So I'm going to assume that if you just drag this block over there, so you created a custom block called that, and I'm going to assume that if you put in a 3, you get a triangle, and if you put in 4, you get a square, and so forth. If that's the case, and let me just check your comment here, Jill, to see if that is the case. Okay, so that part works. So you've got this. If you've got this part working, then so let me jump into Snap for a second here. So you've got a block, and I'm going to just go ahead and make one so we can take a. Oops, I didn't want a variable. I'm gonna make a block, and we'll put it in looks, and we'll say draw. Let's see. I guess I should try and remember the name of the thing. Draw sided figure. Okay, sided figure of size. And then, as you know, click here, and I'm going to call my input. I'm just going to call my input N. By the way, as long as I've got this open here, and as long as people are listening, I want to remind you of the fact that when you have an input, you can specify different kinds of inputs. Right now, you can specify any type. I really should just make this a number, so you can't put anything else in there, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. An n-sided figure of size. I'm not really going to do anything with these, but I just want them here, so I'll just call my size variable size, and again, insist that that be a number. All right, so I now have my block in looks, draw such and such a sided figure. Now, assuming that this works, so if you put in a 3, I'm assuming you get a 3-sided figure. If you put in a 4, you get 4-sided, and so forth. Then, in order to do this over and over again, you're going to need a variable. And I'm going to assume, I don't want to do the whole project here, but I want to make sure you can do this. So remember how there are 2 ways to create a variable. If you click on make a variable, like right here, there we go, it comes up with a variable that could possibly be seen by all the sprites, that could be displayed on the stage, and so forth. So if you were writing a game project and you wanted to have a score that everybody could see, you could do that here. If you're only going to use a variable inside one script, you probably want to use a script variable. So you have to create the variable. And Jill, since you said that your variable isn't changing, my guess is something's going on here. So you'll set, this is where you set the variable. So I set the A variable. So the set block is pretty clever. Since I've put it inside a script where I've got a variable called A, it already knows in that little drop down that there's that variable. And I could make it 3-sided. Now, I can't leave the number 3 in here. If I left the number 3 in here, it would do things, it would always draw a 3-sided figure. And you know at the bottom, you want A to be 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth. So you're going to have to change it by 1. So you'll change A, and then these 3 things need to go in a repeat loop. So you'll have your, I'm not going to finish this off, but you'll have your repeat block, and you'll just put these inside. So where could things go wrong? Well, you could forget to do this part. You could just set A to 3 and draw it. You could maybe leave this blank. I think if you leave this blank, it probably won't change anything. And as long as I'm going to get really fussy, oh, of course, it doesn't even know about A now. I have to leave this attached in order for it to know, because these script variables are only local. They can only be sort of seen in their own script. So I can change A by 1. Another thing you could do, the only reason I mention this is because I'm sure some students at some point will try this, change A by 0. If you tried to change A by 0, then it would stay at 3. The last thing, though, is this, even if this isn't a repeat loop, it's still going to draw 3 because that's what we've got here. You have to put here the A. So now when A is 3, it'll draw a 3-sided figure. When A gets changed by 1, it'll be a 4-sided figure. So does that look like anything that's relevant? Let's see. Cheryl writes, I had to put an actual But that's all it says. I'm sort of in suspense here. I had to put an actual, this is like a cliffhanger. That's where I'm not sure if you meant to write more, Cheryl, but all you wrote in your last comment was, I had to put an actual. That might have been in response to something I said, which means if I could just remember what I had said, the whole thing would make sense. However, I say so much that there's no way I could remember everything I say. Oh, I had to put in the variable a and then hit, oh, I see, okay. All right, got it, yeah. So the trick is you need this variable in here. If you leave this off and you just have a number, you will repeatedly, because again, this will go inside, this stuff goes inside a repeat loop. You would only draw a three-sided figure. So let's see. Jill, does that, I don't know if that looks relevant to your situation or not. That's what my script looks like. It still isn't adding one. It's all good. I'll figure it out. Okay. There is supposedly a way when you have a script. I'm not entirely sure how this works, but Snap has the ability to do what's called debugging. And in that, you work through and it does one block at a time. And so you can look at one block and see what it does. Now, having said that, what are my chances of being able to figure out how to do it off the top of my head? I would say 0. I'm just going to look in, there's Warp, which runs things really quickly. The opposite would be to just like run a single script, a single block at a time. I will go ahead and see if I can, I'll have to look in the manual, which is conveniently located right here. Well, you know what? It's irresistible. So let me just take a quick peek here. And yeah, let me just open this up here. And I'm going to write debug. There is also a pause block. The pause button suspends all scripts. I see. There's a pause block in the control palette that can be inserted to suspend all scripts. Okay, so you can't. I don't think you can go through it something step by step, but you could. If you had an issue, you could take the pause block. Oh, I'm sure it's here somewhere. Pause. You could, so let's say you had a loop going on and you ran this script. Okay, I guess I better help it here. By the way, I don't know if you noticed that, but when there's a problem, it glows in sort of that dangerous red color. I think that's exceptionally cool. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. And so apparently it's paused at this point, and well, I'll have to experiment around with this, and then I'll try and make some sort of intelligent comments. But the idea is that you can, in theory, stop a script at some point, and if you have variables, and you're able to see the variables here, you could take a look at their value. And in fact, if you clicked, I don't know if you can see A's value here or not. I'm not going to waste any more time though speculating about it. Yeah, okay, so I'll talk a little bit about problem solving and spotting problems in maybe I'll try and get that up sometime this week. Let me see. Let me go back to make sure I haven't missed anyone's comments. Oh, and Jill was putting up, I think, a link. Was this a link to your project, Jill? I think so. I don't think I'm going to show it on. That probably, you know what, if I show it, it probably violates FERPA, the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act, which probably all of you have memorized. They sort of drill that into us here at the university as well. So even though I know you're not doing this for, at least I'm not sure if you're doing this for grades or not. I'm not going to look at it while everyone else can see it because I do not want to be arrested by I presume the Secretary of Education or whoever arrests people for doing FERPA. Okay. And Jill says something about my circle script is a mess. It's only making a tiny little circle. Let me see. So so if you want to make a circle, here's what you need to do to make a circle. Now I'm assuming this is also one of the assignments. Let's see if I can find it here. It was that circles. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So in order to make a circle, you have to move S steps and then you turn 1 degree. So the bigger S is, the bigger your circle is going to be. The only reason you could be making a small circle would be if S is very small, or if you're not turning 1 degree. So you need those 2 blocks, and you're going to remove S steps and turn 1 degree. Now, I had said to create a script variable called S. So if you maybe named it something different, that could cause a problem. But basically, you have to be saying, let me just sort of demonstrate this with, so I'm going to say move and then turn. I'm going to do this 1 degree. And I'm going to put the pen down so we can see what's happening. All right, so I'm going to put the pen down. Actually, I'm going to leave that right there. So this is another thing that you can do. If you double click on a script, as you know, in the scripting area, it executes. So if I just wanted to do it, it does it. Now I'm going to move. Now I'm going to do 10 and 1. So notice you can see it's curving, but it's not curving very much because it's taking such a huge step each time. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit. I want to go back to 0, 0. Oh dear. And so I sort of have all my drawing tools at my disposal here. I'll clear it. Now instead of moving 10, I'm going to move just 5. And you'll see, because it's not moving as much before it turns, the curvature is tighter. If I change this, let me go ahead and change this to just 2. And again, clear, go to here, oops, clear. All right, now I've got a really tight circle. And by the way, as you can tell, my carpal tunnel syndrome is about to get bad. This is clearly an advertisement for the power of a repeat loop. So let's just go ahead and just do this. So I'll do this 180 times. Okay, so we'll go to here, we'll clear. There we go. So you can see that. Now if I made it 1 step, it's a tighter circle. If I made it half a step, it's even a tighter circle. So there we have a soup spoon. Excellent. Okay, so I am not sure, Jill, off the top of my head, why this would be happening. I set S, oh, I see. You set S to be 0.017. That's very small, because as you can see, that's what half a step looks like. So let me change this from, we're going to have a conversation about, oh, I see. The 0.017. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah. So if you put, if this was just, wait, there might be more to your comment. Okay, now it's 0.017. So here's what the circle you get when you do this with, yes, that's a very tiny circle indeed, because you're just moving an infinitesimal amount and then you immediately have to turn. Let me look at my documentation and see just, yes, S, you missed this part. S is 0.0174533 times the radius. That's the essential bit. So if the radius is 100, it's going to be 1.7. That's where it's going wrong. Unless you tell me that you've done otherwise. Yeah, you need to move S steps, but S has to be this number times the radius. By the way, I hope I am not scaring people off with all the math that I'm doing. you can get some really cool drawing taking place if you use a little bit of mathematics, and so I tend to do that. I'm going to try and sort of balance off. Like I was doing some sort of mathy stuff today. I think tomorrow I'm going to go back to doing some Englishy type stuff. Again, I don't want to tell you too much, but that will be coming. Okay, so now let's see. The interface that GoToWebinar offers is just ridiculously small, and I'm not quite sure why they can't afford to make a bigger. Okay, there's a question about adding the sound file to the Circle Scribe. I had to set up a parallel script to get that to run at the same time the circles were being drawn. I tried placing the sound block in every possible position, and it always ran before or after the circles went. So I made a parallel script and it ran fine. Okay, so you were, let me see here. Oh, I see. Play the theme to Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head as the previous step falls out, or the previous step plays out. Okay, so let me go into here. This means I'm going to need some sort of a sound file. You'd think, considering I'm here with a microphone, that wouldn't be too hard to find. Let me see if I have something with like a wave extension that I can find. Okay, here's something called singer1.wave. Oh my goodness. That was annoying. Let's see if I can find anything else with, I need a wave or some sort of an extension. Let me try, well, I've got, I have no idea what all this other stuff is. Looks like I've got some sort of a computer game from somewhere. Anyway, let me try Singer 2. Okay, that was 2 seconds, and that was not too bad. So let me see if I can find that now and show in Finder. Okay, so I have got my Singer2.wave. There's my Singer2.wave, and I am going to, in the sounds, drag that in. So I'm taking Singer2.wave and dragging it over sounds. Apparently I am not. Oh, wait, maybe I have to, let's see. Where is it? All right, let me try that. Yeah, there we go. So I've got my Singer 2. All right, I will go into my scripts, and I'm sorry I've got that terrible one, but anyways, I guess it's actually probably all right. So now, we want to draw a circle while that is playing, or we want to draw a bunch of circles while you are drawing. Yes, the idea is that you're supposed to be simulating rain. Now, there are 2 play sounds. There's play sound and play sound until done. So when you have a script, if you have play sound, it should play the sound, it should start the sound playing, and then immediately move to the next step. Play sound until done will not do the next step until this is finished. So just to see that in action, I'm going to say hello for 2 seconds. All right. Now, when I choose this, it's going to, what should happen is it should start to play the sound and immediately go to the next block. So listen and watch the sprite. So you see it says hello immediately. Now, if I do it here and you watch the sprite, it's only when the sound finished that it said hello. So my first guess, Cheryl, is that, and I really hope this is the answer, because otherwise, if it isn't, I have no idea. My first guess is that you are using play sound until done rather than play sound. And Okay. Oh, nope. Sorry. So you aren't using the play sound until done. That is a pity. Um, So let's throw this in here. So I'm gonna, well, one thing. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this block in here. I'm gonna play the sound and I'm gonna draw. So here we go. All right. Let me make this something bigger here. Make this 2. So you can see it's playing the sound while the motion is taking place, which means it didn't wait. Whereas if I did this, then it waits till it finishes the song and then it draws. But if you're saying, Cheryl, that you're not doing that, okay, Cheryl, I will take a look at it and try and figure it out. But again, I'm not going to look here. Okay, and let's see. Going back through these comments, Cheryl says, but it won't let you put radius in that set S block. Yes. So if we have a variable, and it won't let you put, right. So let me see. So we were talking about motion here, and we've got move 2. All right. These oval blocks can only take numbers, nothing else. And so it's like, well, how do you do that? How do I do S times? Because right now I'm going to write S times. I'm hitting, in fact, I think I did this on a video this afternoon. I'm hitting the multiplication, nothing's showing up. Well, if you need a number and you need it to be based on a variable, you're going to have to go into operators. And as you can see here, notice the shapes of these. These are oval, which means they're going to fit in here. And so if I needed to do something times something, I bring it in here. Now this can store any number or any variable that looks like a number, and you can also put something in here. Now, I can't type the letter A, so just to, again, sort of make sure we're clear on things, the letter A in mathematics is a variable. The letter A by itself in Snap is a character. If you want the variable, all variables are in orange. So if you need a variable here, you would drag it in there. And now we've got A times 2. So hopefully that clears up that question. And gives you an error. So Cheryl, did that? Oh, it won't let you put radius in the set S block. Yeah. So if you've got, again, if you're going to work with, so this would have been S times radius. You'd have to use the multiplication operator, and you would have to drag in a variable. All right, and I think I have caught up with all the questions. Oh, and Carrie says my project seemed to work well. I changed the background to blue and pen color to silver. Yes, that is great. Yeah, I will admit that I think the one thing I've sort of not been doing enough is working with the costumes and changing backgrounds. Just to remind people, if you go to the stage, you can always put something on the stage. If you go to the costumes, this becomes basically the background of the stage. So if you want something cool, this would be the way to get it. And I put up on the website, let me get back to it here. There's now a link here called Media. And if you go here, you will download, so this is Safari, and I'm here, by the way, at High Bandwidth Central, which is Northwest. So everything happens seemingly, well, it was only 11.7 meg, but we have very fast bandwidth here. And so in this folder, you will see you'll have costumes, sounds, and backgrounds. And so if you want, there's just this large collection. I believe in the earlier version of Snap, which was called BYOB, Build Your Own Block, these were included. But I think because the project is now being accessible online, in order to minimize sort of the bandwidth, they took much of this out and made it a separate file. I think that's what happened here. But there are many, many pictures here that you can use. So feel free to download media. And then again, in order to use it, all you would do is go back into here, go into the stage, and then take what you want. So for example, let's see. I think I like stars, although I don't know how well that's going to look. Let me just sort of take a quick preview here. Backgrounds, indoors. Let's see, there's maybe a better way to do this. There we go. Yeah, I like sort of that Malibu beach sort of thing. So I would just take this and drag it here. And now I've got Malibu Beach. It immediately totally changes, the feeling. And here I am. Somehow geometric shapes don't seem right on the beach. So, okay. And yes, so I got Elise saying yay to English. So yeah, in fact, I hope you appreciated the little play that we got going on yesterday with that discussion of broadcast and receive. And I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at it yet, but if you were thinking about having your students enact some sort of a conversation, I mean, you could put on a full play, right? You have the ability for your sprites to move. Oh, I'm looking at this. In case you're wondering, what happened to motion? I've got the stage highlighted right now. Needless to say, you hope your stage doesn't move very much. If I go back to my sprite, then my motion shows up. So if you had, one or more sprites, you have the ability to make them move. You have the ability to make them converse. And so you could imagine a play. You can imagine a project in which you say, okay, you're going to write a play. And not only are you going to write a play, you're going to put on the play. And you could have that sort of taking place here. So yeah, I don't want to short shift English. It's my favorite language. Yeah, I think the broadcasting could be quite useful. Okay, so I believe I've answered everyone's questions. How would you have background change for a play? Except that one. So if I have the stage selected, then the motion blocks are totally empty. However, there are some blocks that are still relevant. So for instance, the pen there's nothing in the pen palettes that's relevant except for clear. But if I go to looks, you can see I've got switch to costume. So for example, just to make this relevant, I'm going to bring in a couple more costumes. So I've got, it doesn't matter which ones. I'll bring in canyon and I'll bring in desert. And and flower bed. Oh, missed. Flower bed. Okay, so I've got several different costumes. Now I'm going to go back to scripts because obviously the costumes only stores the costume. Any scripting happens here. So I'm going to switch to costume, and notice I've got them all listed here, in addition to empty. So if I run it, there's empty. Now, if I want to repeatedly draw them, or repeatedly change costumes rather, I can go to the next costume. So what I might do is I might start off at empty. And then you can probably see where this is going. I'm going to go into motion. No, I'm not. I'm going to go into control, and I'm going to use a repeat block. And actually, I'm going to do something. Well, okay, let me not get too advanced here. I'm going to go into, first of all, the repeat 10. And I'm simply going to say next costume. All right, I'm going to click this. Now, it doesn't look like much happened. And there are a couple of issues going on here. One is things are happening too fast. So I'm going to switch to the next costume and wait. All right. The other thing that I think is happening, I think if you start in empty, it doesn't move to the next. I think I have to choose beach first. Okay. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Yeah, there's this little gotcha. If you choose empty, next costume does not advance you to anything else. If you're empty, you stay empty. And but if you start off at Beach Malibu, then oops, there you go. Now you notice I didn't see Beach Malibu. That's because I said next costume and then waited. If I wanted to see Beach Malibu first, I could do wait, so I could sort of enjoy it and then move to the next one. So we saw Beach Malibu there for a second. So that's how I could change things. The other thing I could do, I'm just going to mention this here. Suppose you wanted people to be able to choose a costume. You could walk through all the costumes. So I'm going to do this here. So I've got a repeat loop. Now, right now, I believe, let me just test this. This is basically an infinite loop because it says repeat until some condition is met. And what condition do I want to be met? Well, we might say something like this. Under looks. Oh, wait, I'm on the stage. I had a great idea. Okay, here we go. No. Sorry. I had this great idea. I was going to repeat until the space bar was down. So, right, so I'm going to set off at Beach Malibu, and I'm going to repeat until the space bar is pressed. By the way, I know it doesn't actually say the word bar here. I think it should. That's why I keep saying it. And let me just put in a header so I don't have to keep clicking on this. Oh, wait, I don't want, well, it doesn't really matter. All right. So I'll just change this to the letter A just to be different so we don't get these confused. Okay, so when the A is pressed, it's going to switch to Beach Malibu, and I'm going to repeat until I hit the space bar. So the idea is I'm going to find, oh, I like that one. Oh, I have to actually, because of the weight, I have to hold it down. All right, so I'm holding down the space bar, and it stops at that point. It's a little bit rough, but in any event, to get back to the initial to Jill's initial question, that's how you would change the backgrounds. And what is the background of why backgrounds are called costumes? Oh, so okay, the reason why I can answer that second question, the reason why why the sprites are called turtles, there's an ancient language. It's called Logo. It was invented by a chap named Seymour Papert in, I think, the 1970s. And the idea was that you had a turtle, and the turtle could move forward or backward, and it could turn. And as the turtle crawled in this imaginary sandbox, its tail could be either up or down. And if the tail was down, it drew a line. If the tail was up, it didn't draw a line because apparently the turtle actually hovered above the sand somehow mystically. The only thing in the sand was the tail. And so it was actually a brilliant metaphor, and it taught programming concepts and fun stuff to lots of kids. And we're basically still using that same idea. So this person had this idea a long time ago. Now, why they call the backgrounds costumes? Well, it certainly makes sense for the sprites, right? For the sprites, you have different costumes that they can wear. And so I guess they decided that a stage was sort of like a sprite. Or it could have been more likely they just got a little bit lazy when it came to the metaphor at that point. So hopefully that answers that question. How would I tell you? how would you tell it to wait until all the characters in the play are done with their dialogue on that certain scene? Well, Jill, I'm not quite sure. How would you wait until all the characters are done with their dialogue, or that certain scene is done? Um, well, I mean, if you've got characters talking among themselves, so we did this thing with broadcast and wait. Let me go back to a sprite. Actually, let me because we're almost out of time here. In the interest of time, let me go back to the document that I wrote on this. Just take a look at a quick peek here. So the idea was, let me find this here. Okay, broadcast and wait. So here we have two scripts, one for Rocky and one for Bullwinkle. And so Rocky would say, Bullwinkle, I'm worried. And then it would broadcast and wait. So Rocky is not going to get any further because Rocky is going to be waiting at this point for the line one script to execute. Well, the line one script, when I receive line one, say ratings down in the show again. Now, once this is finished, which will take about 2 seconds, then Rocky, having waited, continues and says no, and then broadcasts line two and waits. So Rocky's script stops right here until line two, which says, that's odd. And then once that's odd has finished, 2 seconds later, then this Rocky who's been waiting gets to go to the next one. So the reason that they don't all rush through is because you've got broadcast and wait. I hope that answers your question. Oh, let me reword. I don't want the background to change when the characters are talking, but have the background change when it's the next scene. Okay. Well, since everything is happening, let me think about this. Okay? So basically, I think what I would do is, you know what? I should really go back to my dialogue. Here we go. Basically, this is the end of Rocky's lines right here. Okay, this is when Rocky and Bullwinkle, they've been exchanging this witty repartee. This is when Rocky finishes. So this is the point at which you could change the scene right here. So if you simply add it to the end of the say and broadcast blocks here, then that would change the costume after they finish talking. I hope that makes sense. So just tell the background to wait. Oh, yeah. So, right. So when you say broadcast and wait, you have to talk to you are right. You have to talk to the stage. So you would broadcast line 4, and then you would broadcast, let's call the message change background. And on your stage, you would have a script called when I receive, let's go ahead and define it here, a new message called change background. Okay. And so when change background happens, you would, maybe actually, let's make this more realistic. You would switch to next costume, or you would switch to a particular costume. Because if you're actually writing a play, you would pick the costume that you want. And maybe this is called change background 1, and maybe you have another one called, or change for act 2 and change for act 3 and so forth. So yeah, you could do it. So the all right, and Jill says it's making sense. Good to know. Right. Okay. So I think we are done for today. I can't think of anything else that's pressing. I was going to have this I want to have another conversation about how we're going to use this and how you can use this in the classroom, and come back to the question that we started the first week about how we here at Northwest can help you use this in the classroom. So I think we're going to have one more meetup next week. It'll be the end of the workshop. But if you have some ideas about that, you can email me, or you can email Logan. Or if you want to talk about it, and during the last meetup, I would definitely think that would be a good idea. So, oh, and Cheryl says, Happy Canada Day. Yes, it is true. Je suis Canadien. I am Canadian. And it's funny that Canada Day is today, and then a couple of days later there's Independence Day. There's another holiday in Canada. I'll just mention this I should let everyone go, but just in closing, there is a holiday called Nunavut Day. A few years ago, Canada acquired a new territory by cleaving it out of an old territory, and it's spelled Nunavut. I think it's more like Nunavut, but a lot of people just say none of it, like I'm having none of it, and it's sort of, unfortunately, it can form the basis of a joke. But there's Canada Day on the 1st and Nunavut Day on the 9th. So if you want to celebrate Nunavut Day, feel free. So no, I'm not Québécois. Je ne suis pas Québécois. I am the product of a good Canadian educational system, which emphasized bilingual education early. But je suis anglais, and I'm from Manitoba, so you can't get much more non-Québécois than that. So, all right. Well, on that personal note, I think unless anyone else has any other questions, I'm going to I'll wrap it up for today. It's been great talking to everybody, and there'll be some more materials showing up later this week. And everybody have a great rest of the week, and have a great 4th of July. Watch out for fireworks. Yeah, talk to you all later.